Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another amazing community call that we're going to have today. It's the month of September. Thank you for joining. Before we get too far, let us know if the audio and the video is working, because it's very important that you can see. We have a lot of cool things we're going to do. I have Simon joining us as well today, and people like, why you always have Simon on? Well, because last time he showed us how to containerize our Strapi instance and push it, to Docker. And then somebody asked, like, there should be an easier way to deploy things to Heroku. And so he created an easier way to deploy your Strapi app to Heroku, actually render. And he's going to talk more a little bit in this video about it. But hey, Simon, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you.
It's nice. Awesome.
Been a good day so far.
Oh my gosh, we have so many demos that I want to run through the slides fairly quickly because I think it's going to be excited. But before we do, let us know how everybody's doing in the chat. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. And by the way, if you missed this live stream, no big deal, because they're always going to be on YouTube for you to watch. And let's say hello in the chat. Derek's here. Man, big props to Derek. Marcos here. Great to see you, my man. The Twatcher, I hope I pronounced that right. I have no idea, but we're gonna get started. We're gonna go through what's been that. Let's look at the agenda. We're gonna talk about what's been happening, what's coming in version 4.4.0, roadmap updates. Gonna show you some community showcases, do some Q&A, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And so what's been happening? We are working on more migration resources. I'll talk a little bit more about it. We are going to have, I know it's a very asked question, doing database migration when migrating from Strapi v3 to v4. We're going to have a designated stream for that. We're going to talk about amazing Codemods improvements that, by the way, thank you to everybody that worked on Codemods, but specifically calling out Derek for taking this and making it amazing. And we're going to showcase it today. We're going to talk about some of the bug fixes that we had, and we have documentation rebrand. So a lot of exciting things. So we are constantly working on creating resources to help you migrate from version 3 to version 4. So we have a playlist on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the chat for you, where you could check out some of the videos that we already have available and resources, as well as keep an eye open, because we're doing a whole video series of migrating Food Advisor app from v3 to v4. And I'm super excited that we updated Codemods, because it makes that process way easier. And I'm excited to share that with you. So keep an eye out for that. But I'll put the link to the current playlist for you right now. Also, another great place to get help is our documentation, right? You could never go wrong with the documentation. And the cool thing, if you watch the first and the second video in the playlist, it'll give you a great overview of the process. And the documentation is going to have a little bit more context for those of you if you were confused by it. Hopefully those videos will clarify, but I'm going to put that in the comments as well. And obviously, if you're not on Discord, we have a designated channel for migration questions. And we're going to start doing some more awesome content. We have daily office hours, which is amazing that our community members could jump in on Discord and chat with us. And we're also going to do an event, which is going to be Strapi Best Practices, which is going to be every third of week of every month, which is going to talk about Strapi development best practices. And that's going to be inclusive for the Discord community. So that's another great reason for you to join. But we're going to continue moving forward through the slides because we have so much stuff to do. And like I mentioned, we're going to have the database migration stream. We're going to talk about the general overview of the process, things to consider. There's some cases and gotchas that we want you to be aware of, and really depending on your project. We're going to demo the DB scripts, the state of it. It's actually a lot of things have been done. Works really well. And then we're going to talk about other resources as well as do some Q&As, and that's going to be September 22nd. And then we made amazing changes for Codemods. If you used it before, it's like day night now. some of the things that it now does. It will auto-generate your .env file. It will update your package JSON file with the dependencies. It will generate the proper factory functions for route, controllers, and services that it requires. It will make the changes in the config folder that we used to do manually. And we used to have to do a lot of stuff manually. So again, I can't give enough shout out to Derek for literally saving the day here. And it also will generate the index file that has the register and the bootstrap function. And I see Derek already dropped the link. Fantastic. Go check it out. But we will do a little demo around that. And then Strapi releases, very small bug fixes. And we also did updates to our migration guides, general update guides, migration guide. And I will share the link if you want to see more details on all the previous releases, because I know we had many mini releases before this community call. So if you want to get more detail and you're interested, go ahead and check it out. And I'm going to push the link there. And so we're also doing documentation, rebranding, and updates. If you want to go check out the beta page and the beta docs, I'll put the link there as well. And if you spot anything, please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear. The goal for us is to make sure that the changes that we're doing are helping everybody in our community that's working with Strapi have easier time working with the docs, getting to the solutions and the answers that they need. And let's see here what's coming in Strapi 4.4.0. Super excited. Right now, we have API tokens version 2 beta. It's out. Like, I'm going to demo it today. It is really amazing. When I saw the version 1, I was like, well, that's kind of limited because they only had full access and read-only. And those are the two options you had, right? And so, but they needed the foundation. But now you are able to set access on the controller level by creating, custom definitions for what people should have access. And another cool thing is now you could define token expiration. And we're going to take a look at the demo of this in a little bit. But I just want to go through things quickly so we have actual time for the demos. We have a lot of great demos for you. And custom fields, by the way, I now in alpha. So I'm not going to demo that today. I want to really wait for the beta version, which is going to be releasing soon. But if you want to check out the alpha state, if you want to play with the custom fields and give us some feedback, I'm going to put the link where you could get more information about it in the chat. And so super awesome. We're flying through this because the demos today are going to be the most important part. So, and if you have questions, please save them for later, because I want to make sure that we cover these things. And then preview for relations. It's going to be coming out in 4.5.0. It's just a preview. So I know probably you're going to be like, tell us more, tell us more. I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to show you this amazing, beautiful picture. And as you could see, we have our articles relations. There's no longer in the sidebar. I know a lot of people were asking, why are the relationships in the sidebar? It would be much easier if it was in the main view. So as part of the changes, what we're doing, there's many changes coming. We'll talk more about them the closer we get. And the more it's done and the more information I have, I'll definitely let you know in our next community call. But as you could see, the relationships are going to be moved to the main section with other additional benefits, which is going to be excited. So now what I want to do is do a quick demo. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with Strapi API tokens. So let me see here, blah, blah, blah. So I created a simple demo project here by running npx create Strapi. What's up?
Did you pray to the gods as well for this?
Oh my gosh! Praying to the God. You know what? We're gonna go and see. Yes, I trust my own computer. We're gonna go and get it done. I guess I don't even need to show the code because we just want to run the project. But whatever. Let's see. Yarn develop, and Yes, pray to the God. So everything usually works like 2 minutes before the stream, which is always excited. Like the funny part here is, will I remember my own password? I hope I could remember my own password. It's monkey1234. Fantastic. So this is a basic project. All I have here is a very simple content type with a post. It just has a title and content, right? Very simple, because that's not the important part. Normally, when you're giving permissions and you're using your application, you would use the roles. You will go to either public or authenticated. But sometimes if you want to maybe have one API to communicate with another, you want to create specific tokens for that specific use case. So now when you go to API tokens, let me know if my screen is big enough. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And I already created a test token. I'm going to delete it and we're going to create a new one. So I'm going to create new API token, testing, and whatever testing. It doesn't really matter what I type here, because I just want to get through it. And so check this out. Here now you're able to set the duration. Do you want 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, or unlimited, which I think is an amazing feature to have that allows us to do that. So I'm going to select unlimited. And before, you really only had the read-only, which basically gives only ability to read everything, right? It's not very specific posts. Like you could literally read all the data you want, because that's how it used to work in the first version. And you're still able to do that by doing read-only. You could also do full access, which will give you pretty much anything you want to do, with that token. Maybe that's not what you want. So now, and this is the most exciting part, I hope you could hear my excitement, we have this custom feature, which allows you to kind of decide what you want to show. So currently, under post, I have everything selected. I'm going to deselect everything for now, just to kind of play with this. I'm going to save this. It's going to generate my token. I'm going to copy it and save. And so now I did not give any permissions yet. So if I go to, let me scroll here. Let me get posts here and bearer token. Let's say we don't provide a token. We click send. We get the forbidden error. But now let's provide the token. And again, I didn't give any permissions. So when I click send, we still get forbidden error, which is okay. So now we go back to our application and we could give permission. Let's say, we only want to find all or find one. Click save. Go back to Insomnia, which is amazing. And now when I click send, notice we are able to get our data. And if I want to delete a post, or let's create a post and make sure that we pass the right API here. And we're going to create a new post with the post message. I click send. And again, forbidden error. Why? Because I did not give permission to that token to be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead back to our amazing API tokens admin area. And I could now click update. I'm just going to set it up for all of these. You all get the point that now we have controller-based kind of permissions that we could do for all our content types, including other things as email, upload, user permission. It is amazing. So I'm going to save this, go back, and let's try it again. Let's create send, and boom, new post created, everything works. And so I think in my mind, that is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say freaking, but this is freaking amazing. This is great. So I hope you use this feature, because it gives us now more flexibility how to decide who gets to do what by using our API tokens. So that was a really, really, really awesome. And Marco says, granularly to the rescue, and he did guess my password, monkey123. I actually had a 4 there. But that is amazing. So super, super excited. So another demo I want to show you. This is, and I know, Simon, you have a lot of great stuff to show, but I feel like I have to show this to our community. Let me kill this for a second. We'll come back to the slides in a second. Let me kill this server. Let me clear the screen. Let me see where I am. Let me get out of here. And so I'm going to go ahead and NVM use 14 because I want an older version of NVM that supports Strapi 3. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly do a demo of Codemods for you. And so to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a very simple Strapi v3 project, right? Just so you could see how amazing Codemods is now. And I can't thank Derek enough. Like if you were here, I would hug him right now. But it is amazing. I just want to show you this. And so, you know, the internet takes time. I get it. I need faster internet. But once this installs, we'll set up a basic project, and I'll quickly do a quick demo of using Codemod. So anybody who's going through the migration process, and if you used Codemods in the past, forget about it. We just released the new version literally yesterday, and the things that it does for you makes the process way easier. And granted, we're using a very basic project without any customizations, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll make more videos talking about what to do when you customize stuff. But the goal of Codemods is to allow you to take your V3 project, convert it to V4, and have it built. So you could right away see like, hey, it works. And then you could start moving your custom controllers. If you have any, services, whatever implementation you had, manually yourself, because custom code is custom code and there's no magic pill about moving it. But at least this will get you most of the way and your project would build. So here I am in Strapi. Let me bring it to the screen here. And let's see here. So here we are. We have Strapi project recreated. I'm going to just quickly create an admin user, Paul.Broslavsky at strapi.io. I can't type and speak, which is weird, or type fast when I speak. Well, I can't type fast at all anyway. Monkey.
So that's super secret monkey pants 1 2 3. Then I'm
look,
guessing.
it's monkey. I messed it up. Look at that. I added extra one there. See, I'm messing with you, but then I defeated the purpose by showing it to you. But that's okay because this is just project running locally on my computer. So here we are. We're running Strapi 3, right? This is Strapi 3, old school, right? You need to all be moving to Strapi 4. We are working really hard to create the support for you to be able to do that. Obviously, depending on your project, will dictate. Like if you have a lot of custom stuff, it's going to add some time. But we're really working hard to help everybody to make that transition. So let me quickly go back to my terminal here. Stop the terminal and run the code editor. No, I don't need to dictate. Everything is fine. Let me make it bigger. I opened it in the wrong folder. Let me back up a little bit. CD Codemods. Code. Typos everywhere. Please help me. So, all right, here we are. So as you can see here, we created a database for this particular project. We set up with SQLite. Whenever you're doing migration, the most important thing you have to do is make sure that you don't point to your production database. And as a habit, I'm going to rename this, save for later if you had some data here, which you don't really have too much, right? And that's fine. So we want to rename this and we want to point to a new database. Because I'm using SQLite Lite, I'm just going to run yarn develop. And what it's going to do is going to create new database here. So I'm good. I'm okay. So the next step, what I want to do here is before I run Codemods, I want to make sure that I git init, git add, all the git commit, message first commit. So you want to make sure that you have a clean branch. So we're going to do git branch called migrate. Why not? That sounds git. I know there's a way to create a branch and check out all at the same time. I guess I hate myself that I love to type so much. So we are in a new branch that we just created. And so now we are ready to go through the steps. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run npx strapi codemods migrate. And by running this command, npx is not found. What are you talking about?
You added a space before, didn't you?
Oh, hold on a second. Space. Let me. What is happening here? That should work. And,
You're writing a space before NPX.
oh, it doesn't like that. You got to be kidding me, my computer. Come on. Come on. Thank you, Simon, with the eagle eyes. Simon, see, that's why we have you. Save the day. Listen, yeah, it's crazy how things like spaces or folder names with spaces just, it doesn't like it, but it makes sense. It makes sense. That's the danger of copy and pasting when you copying and pasting the space. Yeah, Marco yelling it out. Everybody's like, hey, you got to stop putting spaces where they don't belong.
I've been writing CLIs for so long time that space is in there. It's like, oh no, why is it not working?
So what we're going to do, we're going to select the application option, and we're going to click period for our root path, and we're going to click enter. It's going to do its magic, and a lot of stuff changed. You could take a look by running this command here. We're going to kind of, for saving time, we're just going to pass that. So I'm going to do git add, and I'm going to do git commit message after code mods, and perfect. And so now before we try to run the application, there's a couple of things we have to do. Number one, we need to remove the old node module folder. So I'm going to do rm rf node modules. Okay. So because we're going to set new things, new dependencies. Next thing I want to do is I want to remove the old yarn log file, because sometimes it will give you issues, and we're going to generate a new one anyway. So I'm going to do rm yarn.log. Oh,
space.
Listen. I caught that one. And then there's also another interesting here folder I want to show you here. This folder right here, this was generated when you had Strapi version 3. And so very important to remove this folder as well, because you might run into issues if you don't. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it, move to trash. Fantastic. And then you could also delete the temporary database that we used as just a way to make sure the app runs. And again, do not point to your production database yet. This is not the time to do it. I'm going to delete it. Now, the last thing we have to do, and I'm going to quickly show you here what the updates Codemods did. Besides of moving all the folder structure the way it's supposed to, it went ahead and created all these files for us, which are different from v3. Also, if we look at source, it created these admin files that are necessary. It created our index.js file, which has register and bootstrap. More importantly, it went ahead and moved all of our actually, I forgot to create when I migrate, I forgot to create a content type. But if we had a content type here like post, it would migrate the schema, and it will create the controllers using the factory functions that generate your routes, control, and services that before you kind of had to do manually, which is a huge help. And it was my fault. I was just too excited to go quickly, but it works. That's the most important part. It will convert all your content types, controllers, routes, services to utilize Strapi version 4. But once all of that is done, let's see what happens. And this is going to be, so one more thing, because this was an older project, and this is sometimes the issues I had, you notice that here we're still using SQLite 3. Now, what you want to do, and if you have installed Strapi before, you know that we are now using better SQLite 3. And so make sure that you are using it if this wasn't here before, but everything else is all set and great. And so the last thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to our terminal, and we're going to switch to NVM U16 because we're not 15. Jesus. 16. My keyboard. Somebody moved switched 15 and 16. That's going to be my excuse. That's what happened. So we're going to use NVM 16. We're going to run yarn.
Well,
oh my gosh, yarn. What am I saying? Listen, the pressure is real. This is what I want to tell you. When under pressure, it's like, that's why I shouldn't be a pilot. I wouldn't be able to find the right buttons flying the plane. Under pressure, I'll be like, oh no, like Who ejected all the toilets from the plane? I don't know. I just pressed the button, it happened.
Somebody's going to sit with you as a pilot and like,
Yeah.
so when are we descending? What do you talk about descending?
Yeah, descending, ascending, it's all good. It's all fine. And by the way, if sometimes you run into issues here, a lot of times the yarn lock file is the corporate, I can't pronounce the word. And then, so make sure when you are doing migration, you delete that file and let it generate from the start. Let's wait for this to finish. And then we'll do the moment of truth, see what happens. I know this is a little bit longer demo, but we have time. I really want to showcase to you how amazing Codemod is. And I'm going to run yarn build. Why? Because that's what you do. And then we're going to, once this is done, we're going to run yarn develop. And you know what? Maybe we'll see if the demo gods are with us today. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Are the okay? Yarn develop. Come on, baby. Oh my God. Oh my! You have no idea. This is so beautiful. My excitement is legit because you have no idea how man, I love you, Derek. I hope I'm allowed to say that on national television. But if you're here with us, what are you looking at right now? This is Strapi version 4. So we went from Strapi v3 and we have Strapi v4 running that we migrated, right? And to be honest, right, we didn't have to deal with too much custom code. But you know what? This is taking you most of the way. And what you have left is doing data migration that you could do at this point if you wanted to. And you could now, since your application builds, you'll have easier time moving your custom code piece by piece. And it's going to be, look, oh my God, it's working, it's running. Derek, big hug. Strapi team, big hug. Community members, big hug. This is awesome. And we're in dark mode. Yes. That was our 2 demos for today. You had a question, Simon?
Does that mean if you renamed your database when you did the migration as database, it would actually kept your data as well? Does it do that, or do you have to pick database?
No, what you need to do when you're doing the migration process, number one, you need to not point to your production database, but to whatever, and you could use SQLite, but you just want to have a dummy database in there. But what you want is your database, after you migrate, the schema will change. But the names will still remain the same based on your schema. So you want to make sure that your v3 database names match before. If you had some changes, there might be like an additional manual process that we have to do. But we will talk more about this in an upcoming database migration scripts tutorial. But what I talked to Derek, what he actually said to me, once people get this far, so even though we didn't move like any of our custom code, the fact that our application builds, what a lot of people will do next, instead of moving their custom code, they will move on and they will do the database migration first, and then they will start adding the custom code, because that way they know that everything is working, the most important parts are done, and it's just moving the custom code. So I think that is a really, really, really awesome. And if you have questions, we'll get to those. I twitch when I hear don't point to your prod database. 100% yes. Richard, that is an amazing point. And it's funny, but not funny, how sometimes people just forget. And that could lead to issues, but very, very most important. And then Derek concurs, please do not point to your production database. It is like, listen, sometimes we get too excited working on a project. We like, oh no, we need to migrate ASAP, that we forget the basics. Do not point to production database. And the reason I'm saying it, because I've done it, others people have done it, but please save yourself the trouble, save yourself the pain. So now what's next? Roadmap updates. We'll quickly go touch up on this. API tokens are now out in beta. Custom fields is still in alpha, but we're going to have 4.4.0 minor release September 28, and both of these should be in stable release for everyone to play with. So I'm really, really excited. And then next for us, it's doing the relationships in the main layout. I gave you a little preview of that, and working on data import and exports. and then guest time. And thank you for patiently waiting, Simon, but very excited. We're going to talk about easy deployment to Heroku and render. And I know there's a couple of different options, and we also have cloud coming soon. Well, I don't have any direct dates. I'm just excited for it. But right now, there's so many places to deploy, and some of the common ones is Heroku, Render, DigitalOcean, Amazon, Google, and Docker. And the reason why I show these is because last time Simon came on, he shared with us how to deploy to Docker, which was amazing. And people asked, well, is there a simpler way to deploy to Heroku, Render, Amazon, Google? And you know what? Simon went ahead and started working on something that he calls, I think it's Deployify, right? Am I correct? Deployify?
Yeah.
So I started working on Deployify, and it started as, okay, how to deploy to Heroku. And then he realized with few tweaks, he could make it easy for people to deploy to Heroku. And I think you have Render for us today as well. And then he's going to work on Google and Amazon, I believe, as well. So it's going to cover a lot of cool use cases. So Simon, I'm going to bring it up to you. If you want to share your screen, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Just first of all, a big shout out to Datus for this, because we literally today released 1.2, where
Nice.
he has been helping me retweaking and refactoring it to make it easier for adding newer platforms as we do. Kevin as well is coming in soon to add Terraform, for instance, which is going to simplify most of everything. So currently now is a little bit of manual thing. So if people want to have guides or want to help out, then feel free. I presume we can post a link. Can people see my screen yet? No?
Yeah, maybe? Let me put your screen on. It's happening. Let us know if you could see the code, VS Code,
so
that showing
you
want us to make the screen bigger. And yeah, and by the way, we have so many amazing members in our community, like Daedalus, Kevin, R.I., like so many amazing people. And Daedalus and Kevin and Simon always helping people in Discord. And there's a lot of people to name, but just a few. But yeah.
So all I have here is a dead simple version 4 project that I literally started. It's even in the beta one. So currently, what we are doing, and we can pray to the gods as well, is we can run npx Strapi community deployify. So we can do Heroku first. Just to show, I have an empty Heroku account and an empty Render account. So we can do Heroku first. So you will run the tool and it will say, do you want to run it? And we will say yes. And of course, because this was the loan, we just pushed it. It's not going to work. So that doesn't really matter. We can still run my local one. So we'll cheat and we'll fix that. You will get this version. And then we can say, I don't know, awesome Strapi. And then we will say Heroku, because that's when we'll do it. I know you're US, so I'm going to go EU. And we're going to do it for production. And here's a cool little twist. If you want to use Docker for deployment to it, and you say yes to this, it will run the other tools and just help you create all the other part. For this one, let's say we're not going to use Docker. So mine already has the Heroku CLI installed. If it doesn't, it will try and help you install it. It will ask you to log in. I have already done it, but it will theoretically just ask you, log in, open the browser, log in, done, like all automatic. So now it will try to spin it up. I create it, set up all the environments. So if we go in here and reload it, and voila, we have a Strapi application done to go. So a lot of what people will do, a lot of people will go in and forget about the environmental variables. That's a common question. So we just set them up for you. Everything is just randomly set up.
That's amazing.
With databases, production, since you said it, the API and everything else. So git push, we can just see, I don't know, git add dots. Git commit, I don't know, second commit. And because it installs the Heroku CLI, you can also then do git push Heroku, because that adds a remote by itself in the tool. So now I'm literally just pushing straight to Heroku, and we've been, what, three minutes? So it makes it super simple to push to Heroku, at least. Render that I'm going to do in a second is a little bit different. It requires a little bit of manual stuff, and some of them will do. So when you talk about the name of it, when I was the day I was going to release it, I was going to call it Herokufy. And then 10 minutes before I was going to push it to create the package, Heroku announced that they're going to just lay off all the free tiers. So I was like, oh, we'll just tweak this a bit. We'll just change this a little bit so we don't have to do it later. So while this is running, I can explain a little bit into it. It only changed the environmental variables from what you set. So this one is now ready to go on production with the server and everything we need. So it's literally for Heroku zero setup. Like there isn't a lot of setup, and this should be done in a minute now. Not that I have a lot into it, but it makes it super simple for Heroku to just set everything up and everything is good to go. And all I had to do was push it once. That's kind of like the only step you need to do. For render, I'll showcase in a second, their API is a little bit different. So what we're doing is we're creating a YAML file for the user, depending on what you answer for it. And then the user will have to go into the render dashboard, connect it to their GitHub account, deploy, and done. It's done. So if people have all the ones they want to add, then make an issue for it. Give us some information about what we're doing, APIs, anything, or if you want to help to make them, go for it. Datus, while we're waiting, has been really hard at work in helping me to refactor it, as I said. So we are using quite a lot of simpler way to kind of provide hooks and everything else to do it. Derek was helping in suggesting liquefied and things like that. So we're using quite a lot of small things under the hood. But then again, running one command and in literally 5 minutes you have deployed your project to Heroku is kind of not an excuse to say, how do I do it? Like, because you can automate the whole thing. So let's see, that should 20 seconds of building. And by the way, for those that wonder, this is actually a TypeScript project as well in 4.4 beta. So we'll see what it does now. So hopefully, if everything went good in the presentational goals were happy, it should have been good to go.
Nice.
Oh, look. Just compressing. And this is the same logs that you will see in the view build output. You can see here it created the Postgres database, sets everything up for you. So it's one of those that you're actually sad that Heroku is going to not make it free, because this will be like people's go-to, just done. I have a project.
Yeah.
So now it's going to launch. Here you go. Here's the notification for people. And then it should be good to go, I think. Might give it a minute.
What's awesome is that people will have options. And I know like everybody feels different about like paid or free and what does that actually mean. But if the service is good, like me personally, like I don't mind paying, but I know it's just one opinion. But the fact that you're giving people options to be able to deploy to different places, it's like, well, okay, maybe I'll just deploy to render or, you know, what have you. But
yeah. So there you go. Deployed on Heroku.
That is amazing. That is beautiful. That is awesome. Yeah. That you're doing good work. Good work.
We can also do another one. And this is where we then add a reset feature. So let's say now that I don't want to use it because I was just, dealing with it. So right now you can actually select which one where you're going to reset both. And it will actually auto-detect it. So I'll show it on render, but on Heroku. And now we will go and pull down the applications on Heroku. So this is the one we want to take out.
Yep.
Now we're going to tear it down. And it's done. And if we now go back to your personal account, everything is gone again. So now reset, done. Nothing on Heroku. So make it super simple.
That is amazing.
So then for render, we can now say awesome Strapi. And then we can say on our render. And we're going to go to EU. Let's do production. We're not going to use Docker. And here it gives you the information that you need to go to the actual dashboard to go to it. Now, I already have it open, but we can always open it again. So now, all I need to do is just add again. So git add commit. So we'll push it. And we'll git push. We'll push to GitHub because render requires you to kind of connect up your GitHub so far, or the other ones. So that's why we have to do that manually. We haven't decided to do that for the user because maybe I want to do it. So all I do now is click connect. And then it will now, everything will be technically ready to go. This is still a little bit buggy. But then once we have the whole thing of what we want, I have somewhere in here added, not too many of the starter part. Yep, that's the challenge that goes for you. Technically, you will hit deploy, and it will then create the starter plans. It will start it. It will use the node versions for you, set up the databases. It will create the tokens. It will do everything for you, and it will create the database. So that's another bug. So there we go. It's hard to test them. If anybody is on Windows, we are looking for some people to actually test them on Windows, because Windows was a little bit sketchy in the start because of how Node works and whatnot. So if anybody want to test that later on Windows, let me know.
Yeah, I also have a Rubik. Well, let me show here. Rubik had a question. Is Render currently the best alternative to Heroku, or are there other things that you have used in the past in terms of when talking free tier?
I will post one in Discord later because I had a read. I only have it on my phone currently, where people gave out like 7 good alternatives to Heroku free tiers.
Yeah, no, definitely shared on Discord.
Yeah, I personally use my own host like Doku, because Doku again is Heroku. It's just on my own server, so I get the exact same thing. Nothing changes. And I can push it. So with Docker, I can either use Docker to deploy it, or I can just deploy with Git. So it doesn't really matter. And that costs me what I pay about €5 a month.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. Any
Strapi hosts on it.
Any questions for Simon? Let us know in the chat. But man, that was awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate coming out and sharing this. I think like you're like to the point, like, why do I keep inviting you back? Because I like the fact that you're listening to the community, seeing where the need is, and you're creating solutions that people could use. And this is amazing because it doesn't have to be you. We have Daedalus. We have so many other people that are jumping on and helping out. And so anybody's welcome to do that. We have our Strapi community org. Do you want to just briefly touch on that, how people could get involved?
Yeah, so we're always looking for people in the org to do it. Currently, there is, like we said before, it is a community lead team that I'm part of, and we're about 7 other people. We have had a couple of new people join in, but the whole idea for it is to have a community that can maintain tools, plugins, CLIs, anything that's going with it. So the whole point of it is to kind of like collect all the different parts and have like an inner team to help anything else. So we have a little bit of talks with the development team from Strapi and stuff, but we're making your own tools. So I think that the next thing the org talked about was to create like a community version of the documentation to more or less support Strapi's own documentation. Of course, there is a big difference between the community one and what Strapi is officially dealing with, but it's more or less in talks and whatnot. So we will come back with more information on it.
Nice.
But the whole idea is to have a place. So if you want to join in, if you're a plugin developer and you kind of want to have others help you maintain it, or you make awesome content and whatnot, this is kind of like the place to stay in.
Yeah, and Derek threw the link to the Strapi community. Fantastic. And so let's, before we get into questions, kind of like do some few things here. So I'd like to showcase some of the things from the community. And so today I wanted to talk about the menus plugin, because I don't know if you do, we have a plugin marketplace. And the reason why I'm showcasing some of the plugins, because we recently, if you missed the stream, we did a stream with Gustavo. He built an amazing application with Render. And the interesting part about that application, he used Strapi right out of the box. And he said he was able to find through like the marketplace and other community built, providers that helped them to meet the needs that he had. And one of the plugins he used was menus that allows you to create menus that will allow you to populate those menus dynamically in your front end. So that way a designer could go ahead in Strapi admin, change the menu layout, change, the menu links, and that will automatically, based on how you implement it in your front end, will be updated. And I think that's another amazing feature of Strapi, where if something doesn't exist, people could, add additional functionality by creating plugins. And I will share that link to that plugin for all of you who are interested to check it out, and definitely browse our plugin store because there's so many cool plugins. And today we were a little bit short on time, so I wasn't able to demo everything. But normally what I'll do is I'll demo the plugin in action. But for today, I'll show you the link, and I shared it. And then we also have an amazing blog where we have a lot of writers that share, interesting topics. And I saw this one because I normally use Cloudinary, but I was always interested how to use the upload provider for Amazon S3, and I just never had the time to do the research myself. So Mark here wrote a recent article on how to set up Amazon S3 upload provider plugin for your Strapi app. And so I kind of like the fact that I had this question, and somebody in our Right for the Community members went ahead and wrote that article. And I think it's awesome because it allows people to share other ways to use Strapi or how to implement different providers. And let me, before I move on, share that link if anybody's interested for checking out that article. It's a really great read, and I'll put it in the chat as well. And finally, mentioning our blog, we actually have Right for the Community, and you can register as a writer if you like sharing technical things. If there's something like it's you're passionate about, you could actually get paid for that. And why not? If you have interest in writing, sharing cool use cases of how you've done Strapi, maybe diving deep into some of the ways of customizing controllers or routes, or how to do cool custom things with Strapi, we'd love to have you. So definitely check out, and I'll share the link here to Write for the Community. I think it's a great way to be involved, especially if you enjoy writing. And then now it's Q&A time. So let's take a few minutes to, we have some time to ask some questions. Now, I may not have all the answers, but we have Derek in the chat, and I'm sure he'll help out. But if you have questions, this is the time to ask him in the chat. And while we wait for questions to come in, I want to also mention some of the events that are upcoming. And I'm keeping an eye on the chat, so please ask questions if you have them. And if you don't have questions, that's okay too. But tomorrow we have a event coming up. We are going to be joined by Daniel and Trisha, and Iken, I probably pronounced his name wrong, from Plasmic. Really going to be a great time. So make sure you add this to your calendar.
While we're waiting for some questions, if I can share my screen again, because I fixed the one comma that snuck in. I'll show the people the render part.
Yep.
So all it was.
You'll have to share your screen though, like you're not sharing.
I will.
Yep.
So how it should look. How it should look is this when you push it. I had a comma snuck in that I just fixed. And we should have just merged in the latest fix for this as well. This is normally how quick we fix things when we know about it. But yeah, so we can say Strapi or awesome Strapi in the source script. So depending on the name that it created, it now says creates the database, the web service, and all you do is hit apply. That's it, really. But there is no more to it, and then he will deploy it for you. And then that's how easy you can set it up to with them. So you can see now that when you create them, we can create or update our existing ones. So, and then it will now also create, once the database is created, it will create the web services, and then it's ready to go.
Nice.
So it's not harder than that. So you can see here now it sets up everything for us, and it's quite simple to use technically. We already then set up all the connections for you, and yeah, it makes it super simple to deal with.
No,
that's how easy it is when it works.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
The last bit then was when you want to reset, for instance, now with render. If we now run like here, it will now say that I want to reset both. But now you can see that it also detected that we used render. So I could just say yes, and it will just take off all the files and everything else. It won't tear it down like we do on Heroku, but it will at least continue to deal with all the other ones that has to do with them. So it makes it quite easy.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's awesome. And to the question we have, what's the best way to customize Strapi admin panel? I'll put the documentation link for some basic customizations, but Derek had another suggestion, because we also have injection zones. There's not too many, but you could use those areas to add custom stuff that you need. But another thing to do is, like he's saying here, is use patch package, where you override the actual Strapi code, and that way you could write your own custom code, use patch package to point to the code that you wrote, and that makes it much easier for you if you have to do updates. And here's a link that he shared of where you could learn more about patch package. Let's see here. Any other question?
The watcher asked about the 500 errors. Normally, to answer that for me is, so how is debugging a server errors being dealt with? Because you find it hard to get any information for anything that results in the 500, but it's hard to know where to start when you use the find a stack trace. And that is normally, if you use, let's say, Postman for an API, you will get a 500. If you ever get a 500, always go check the Strapi logs, because that will actually give you the stack trace of all the errors. So that's literally what it is. Open your Strapi logs and check it. If it's on local, check the running version, and they will do it. So like Derek said, 400 is the client side. That's the problem. 500 is a server side error.
Another question from Rubix. Why does Strapi not persist configured views? I configured the views of all my Strapi single types components, and when I pushed to the live server, it was disappearing or not to be the same. And I believe, and Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, like that gets saved in the database. And when you're running your application locally, your local DB and your production DB is not the same. So you would have to make those view changes in your production Strapi application. I know that sometimes may seem like a pain, but that will, that's kind of like what you have to do.
Just to add for Rubik, that's a great way where you can start make a plugin, because technically what you can do is you can query the database, grab them, send them off to the next database, and then once you sorted it for you, share it with the plugin and community, and then everybody gets the same part. And that's how we solve problems.
There's a plugin idea. There you go.
There's a plugin idea. I'm not going to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm still working on a plugin, but it's not done. I don't know how useful it is. But I had a plugin which is using a YouTube API to be able to quickly search YouTube videos to grab and then to add to your content, like if you wanted to share videos. But I ended up just like looking up cat videos and not really being productive. So I don't know about that plugin. But yeah, plugin, that's a great way to be involved, is to actually give a try and create some plugins. We have a great video series, if you've never done it, on how to get started with plugin development on our channel. And this is a great question because some people just don't know. Where do you find the Strapi logs, Simon?
So the Strapi logs, well, Derek also answered it in one of them, but theoretically the running console where you run yarn develop, yarn run, start, whatnot, that is where you're finding the logs. I think Derek also highlighted and said that if you're using PM2, I don't, but then you can do PM2 logs, and then you can get the other ones. So the answer is, it depends where you're running it, how you're running it. But theoretically, wherever you are running it, if it's in Docker, if you're running in Docker, you can do Docker logs, and then you can point to the container, and then it will print it out. So there's 100 ways to view the logs, but it's technically all you need to see is the running instance of Strapi, and it will give you that output.
No, that's awesome. Let's see. Actually, I was trying to find in the marketplace. 1 second. I'll throw the link. Man, Derek, you're ahead of everybody. But Derek says he recommends Bose config sync plugin. Yeah, that's a great plugin. He did an amazing job. He also demoed it, I believe, in the last StrapiConf. You could check it out. Here's the link. to find it in the marketplace, but that's one way you could sync your configurations.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I would have changed if you wanted to have that with the logs is you could make API calls with it. So you could, for instance, provide it the next server or a URL where you want, and then you just send those logs and store the logs. But like people said, the config sync is amazing, especially if you're just going to do what you're doing now. It just saves all the configs for you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And man, Derek, thank you. You're answering all the questions before I could see them. Also, some of these I don't know the answers to. So Derek, thank you for being here, and everybody who's helping out with the questions. That is amazing. Yep. Let's see any other questions here. Yeah, so if you have a couple more questions, we will. No, don't apologize, Derek. I am glad you're here. Your teamwork. That's what I'm going to keep saying. Because I don't, believe it or not, I don't know all the answers. Just like a lot of you, I'm still learning a lot about Strapi. Just to say that. So if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat. We have a few more minutes, but before we do that, let me just quickly go ahead and share some of the upcoming events. So we have Plasmic tomorrow, and I'm going to share the link one more time here for all of you. And I agree. Teamwork makes dream work, and that's 100%. This is really awesome. And then, so Plasmic event coming on tomorrow. Then we have Strapi Dev Best Practice MA with Derek and Paul. Derek is the one who's answering all the questions. So you're going to be getting a lot of good stuff. The goal of this event is going to be every third week of every month is to help everybody to learn about Strapi development, like working in code, best practices, not just one. It's not going to be one directional conversation where we talk about, the best ways of doing things or preferred method of doing, but we also want to hear from the community, from all of you who engage with Strapi, some of the things that you've learned that could be best practices. So that's going to be amazing. I'm going to throw the link. One caveat for this event: this is a Discord only event. So if you're not a Discord member, go ahead, join Discord. This is going to be an amazing monthly event that we're going to hold, and it's going to be great. And then the last event that we have to announce, I'm going to be joined with Richard, one of our solution engineers. He's been working a lot with database migrations, especially going from V3 to V4. He has noticed some of the gotchas, things to watch out, some common mistakes people make. We're also going to demo the DB migration script. So that's coming September 22nd. Definitely put that in your calendar. I'm going to throw the link here as well. And with that, let me see no, I think we're good. Oh, yeah, we're good with questions. People saying can't wait for best practices AMA, although my sleep schedule will absolutely be ruined due to the timing. We still have to think about it. We might have Discord only resources available. So if you're on Discord, you might be able to have access to what you missed, but I'm still not sure how we do that, but we'll figure it out. So very, very awesome. By the way, I want to say thank you to all of you who tune in. You are what makes Strapi community, the members. So thank you so much. Simon, thank you for joining us. Always fun to have you. Thank you for the good work. I know you shout out Daedalus because he helped you on Deployify. And I love that it's a team. Everybody here is a team. We're working together to make sure that we help the community grow. And nobody's perfect. We do make mistakes, but the goal for us to these community streams to listen to you, talk about what we're doing, and do our best that we can. And just to kind of be engaged more with the community, what we've been doing Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. U.S. Central Time, we have a hangout and voice chat where you can come in, join us, ask questions, talk about stuff. That's daily. So take opportunity of that. Come say hello. And also we're adding this best practices stream every third week of every month, which is going to be amazing. And again, if you're not on Discord, jump on, ask questions. We all do our best to try to help. But then we also have a lot of our community members there as well. And with that being said, I want to say thank you to Derek and the Strapi team that was able to join inside the chat. Really appreciate the support. I mean, here at Strapi, we are a team, and you could tell, like, I don't have to say we're a team because you could see my teammates in chat helping out. So that was fantastic. And Simon, again, thank you. And with that being said, we'll see you on the next live stream. Wherever you are, have a great day, great afternoon, great evening. And if you should be sleeping right now because it's late, go to sleep. So thanks a lot. We'll see everybody later. Take care.
See you guys.